Okay, so before the hands-on part, I want to elaborate some important sections of the GPT models and other large language models. First of all, as you see, there is a huge difference between the size of the models. On the left, we have a GPT-3. On the right, we have GPT-4. In each step, in each version, the models are getting bigger and more capable. I will show a couple of examples to indicate the differences of their performances in different tasks on the following slides. Even 175 billions of parameters are huge, right? But when you compare the GPT-4 with GPT-3, you can see the difference, the improvement. And of course, the large language models need a lot of data. So these are the data sources of the GPT models. You can see the Wikipedia, the Google, Blogspot, GitHub for the especially quotes, right? New York Times, WordPress. So also you can see the size of the data set. In other words, billions of words. Okay, these are huge. Now let's look at some comparative study about the GPT-4 and other models. I will show a couple of graphs, and on these graphs you will see the performance of GPT-4 and other models. So here, for example, GPT-4 with no vision and GPT-4, they are green, and GPT 3.5 blue. We have different exams. They are quite various: statistics, biology, math, but also word history, writing, English language, uniform bar exam. As you see, we have different exams. And for some of them, GPT 3.5, is not very successful. The results, here you can see the results, scores, they are not very acceptable, right? They are less than 50. We can say that GPT-4 is quite successful even for these tasks, these calculus, okay, for example, uniform bar exam, chemistry, the quantitative GRE, quantitative physics. So it's quite successful. And for some of them, it gets higher than 80. So it's very good. So these studies, these exams are important because we don't want to have single task specific models, right? They are large language models, so they should perform multiple tasks. And of course, the performance of the models should be acceptable and reasonable. Here we have another graph. And on this graph, you can see the performance of GPT-4, GPT 3.5, and other models like Palm and Random with different languages, multiple languages. Okay. As you see here, if you compare GPT-4 English with other models, we can see that 85.5%. So it's quite successful comparing to the other ones in English, but also in other languages, in Italian, in European languages, or for example, Arabic, Turkish, Japanese. So quite various. There are different languages and the results are acceptable. So over than 70 nearly for all, right? But this is very powerful. And another one, which is quite important. So this internal evaluation for the factuality in different categories. What does it mean? So models can hallucinate, okay? And GPT-4 also can hallucinate. So even though the GPT is quite successful, as you see in the previous graphs, there are some limitations and it is not fully reliable. That is very important, okay? It's not fully reliable. So researchers are trying to improve the limitations. Of course, at the moment, it's not perfect. But also, when you compare with other models, still, GPT-4 is quite successful. But in the development process of GPT-4, they are specifically trying, so they enhance the capability of understanding adversarial with different experiments. And here you can see the results. So green is the GPT-4 again, and the blue ChatGPT, so GPT 3.5. So category by category, by the way, this is internal, okay? So they ask some questions to check the reaction of the models against these adversarial questions in different categories. So you can see GPT-4 is touching 80% in history, in science, so it's successful. Of course, they also check the GPT-4 with external benchmarks like truthful QA. So truthful QA is basically test the model's ability to separate the fact from adversarially given wrong statements. So GPT-4 is not successful only for simple math code questions or translations, text summarization or something. So you can see that trying to improve the behavior of the models for this type of challenging and more sophisticated tasks. And on this graph, you can see very interesting thing. For the first one, here you can see the zero shot, GPT-4 zero shot and GPT 3.5 zero shot. They are nearly similar, right? Slightly over than GPT 3.5. They are similar. But with these RLHF, so reinforcement learning by human feedback, GPT-4 is successful for this type of questions when you give some feedbacks from the human experts. There are some risks with GPT models. For example, the model can generate some harmful advices or buggy code or wrong information, right? So anyone, for example, can request a dangerous chemical formula to prepare a bomb, for example, and model should not provide an answer, accurate answer for this request, right? So there can be different sensitive or disallowed requests. So model should be trained to be resistant against this type of request. Of course, so the researchers trained the GPT-4 to decrease the risk, and you can see the results of these scores. So incorrect behavior rate on disallowed or sensitive content. So again, GPT-4 is the green, and you can see for the disallowed prompts, GPT 3.5 also successful, but there is a difference, right? But especially for the sensitive prompts, you can see the DaVinci and the GPT 3.5 models, so they are nearly 50 and 40. But with GPT-4, they decreased the risks nearly 20%, right? But still not perfect, right? For more details, you can check the website, okay? You can check this URL, let me write it. You can check this website and URL, the paper. There are more details and they are explaining the results and the graphs very well. You can check it. Okay, let's continue. So you can find different comparative studies. I'm just showing some of them. On Google Scholar, you can check academic papers, for example, or you can check their own websites, okay, the Palm, the GPT. So for example, here, they compare GPT models with state-of-art examples, external models, okay, in different categories. There are different exams here. For example, the first one is multiple choice questions in 57 subjects. And you can see the results, okay? So GPT-4 results are the highest one for this task. And also they are not similar tasks. They are different exams, different question types. For example, in the second one, there are common sense reasoning and everyday events questions. But if you look at the other one, you can see the Python coding task, for example, in this human evaluation. Python coding tasks, reading comprehension, or in the last one, for example, GSM 8K, the grade school mathematics questions. And if you look at all of the results, only for the dropped, except for dropped, GPT-4 has highest values for all cases, for all tasks, right? 92, 67. You can see the Python coding tasks are still need to be enhanced, improved. Also for the drop, the result of the GPT-4 is acceptable, right? Nearly 80. Okay, I think that's enough for the moment. I want to show a couple of important tips before the hands-on session. Then we will continue with the hands-on part. We will see the notebooks. You can see, you can find these tips on their website, but I just want to highlight a couple of them. First of all, you should check the model names for different tasks, for different requirements. You can prefer different models. For the chat, you can use, for example, GPT 3.5 Turbo. For the text, you can use Ada, Babbage, Code DaVinci, etc. So my suggestion for the text, start with the Ada because it's also cheaper, and I think it's enough for you. But for different tasks, you should check their websites and you should follow the instructions and the recommended models, okay? Also, you can see there are different values for the RPM and TPM. So RPM is request per minute and TPM is token per minute. So there are some restrictions here, you can see. And you should check the description of the models, okay, the maximum number of tokens, what are the limitations, also the training data. You can see the data up to September 2021. Also, there are some descriptions. These are the names. There are different models. You can see the number of tokens. Okay, so on website, you can see there are some recommendations, some tactics and tips. And for example, one of them is use maximum number of tokens. Okay, the model is better at inserting longer completions. With too small maximum number of tokens, the model may be cut off before it's able to connect to the suffix. Okay, that's an important aspect. Remember that model is better at inserting longer completions. Another one, so we have some elements, some variables, some parameters. During this process, you will see some parameters, some response. So one of them, the finish reason, that is an important element. So when the model reaches a natural stopping point or a user provided stop sequence, it will set finish reason as stop. So prefer finish reason stop. There are some other values for this. So stop means the model has managed to connect to the suffix well. Okay, and is a good signal. Another one is resample 3 and 5 times. So when the model struggle to connect the suffix in harder cases, use 3 or 5 sampling. Okay, that's an important again. And try giving more clues. So think that these large language models are some intern, okay, in your company. They are new, they are freshmen, and they want to know something. So you can give more clues, you should be clear, and usually you should give some example. There are some strategies, again, to enhance the performance of the models. So there are some prompts. So you are giving some prompts and we are expecting some completion from the models, right? So you need to give your prompts clearly and efficiently. And of course, the prompts should be descriptive and correct, right? So there are some tactics, some strategies in here. And first one is write clear instructions. For example, on the left side, you can see we have how do I add numbers in Excel. So simple, the model can respond in a better way. However, this is not a good prompt. You should add more and clear instructions. So how do I add a row of dollar amounts in Excel? I want to do this automatically for a whole sheet of rows with the old totals ending up on the right in a column called total. As you see here, this is the better with more clear instructions. But here I want to explain something. So the system, the user, they are roles. But there are different role types for the models, system, user, and assistant. And for the system, you should give some instructions like that. When I ask for help to write something, you will reply with a document that contains at least one joke or playful command in every paragraph. So this is an instruction for the system, but still you don't complete the prompt. For the role of user, you can say that, okay, write a thank you note to my steel bolt vendor for getting the delivery in on time and in short notice. So this made it possible for us to deliver an important order. So the model will generate an output for this prompt for both of them, for system and user. You should be clear. So another one is here you can see the summarize the text delimited by triple quotes, okay, with a haiku to increase the quality of the outputs. So you can add this type of separations. Also, you can define a persona for the system. In the second example, you can see you will be provided with a pair of articles delimited with XML tags about the same topic. First, summarize, then indicate which of them makes a better argument and explain why. Here you can see the text, okay? Okay, the second one, use reference text. Give some example, okay? Think that this is an intern in your company, so give any reference text. For example, here you can see if the document doesn't contain the information needed to answer this question, then simply write insufficient information If an answer the question is provided, it must be annotated with a citation and use this following format. So you are giving some reference text. Another one is, like in machine learning, in deep learning, you will see that the simplistic approach usually increases the performance of the models. So instead of using complex models, we are trying to simplify the model, for example, to prevent overfitting, right? So here, similar, instead of giving complex tasks at once, divide them into simpler subtasks and give to the model. Here you can see there are some tasks. So you will be provided with customer service inquiries that require troubleshooting in a technical support context. So help the user by this subtask. Okay. Like human, you are dividing the complex tasks. So instead of writing a complex paragraph, you are dividing the task into subtasks. Okay, you can see 1 dash, 2 dashes. Okay. Another one, this is also important, test, change systematically, and evaluate the model. So how can you evaluate the model? So there are different techniques and methods, but especially this is very important. You can use gold standard answers. For example, we can see insert system message above for the system. The user, the question, we have a question, and we have submitted an expert answer. Okay. So the question is, what event is Neil Armstrong most famous for? So we know that this is very gold standard. We can know the answer. And the submitted answer is wrong. Okay. Neil Armstrong became the second person to walk on the moon after Buzz Aldrin. So you can see this is a wrong answer. Then the expert answer is Neil Armstrong is most famous for being the first person, okay, to walk on the moon. Easy way to evaluate the model with gold standard answers. Okay, last but not least, of course, the GPT models, the OpenAI API is not completely free. So after opening an account, you need to set up your payment methods. Then you will see that there are different pricing for different models. Basically, the multiple models, so each with different capabilities and price points. Remember, there are some different token limitations and the data date are different, right? And their data sets are not same, right? So you should be careful about the models and also their prices. And the prices are per 1,000 tokens. So you can think of tokens as pieces of words. In NLP courses, you will see what is a token, document, corpus, corpora, but simply you can think 1,000 tokens is about 750 words. For example, this paragraph is 35 tokens. According to your problem, the query and the prompts, they will be different. Therefore, the prices will be different. But basically, these are per 1,000 tokens. So you can check the website, okay, openai.com pricing. Let me show it. OpenAI under the product, you can see the pricing. So when you click on pricing, there are different pricings for the models, GPT-4, Chat, Instruct GPT. For example, if you want to make some fine-tuning models, then you can see there are different models, there are different pricings for the training and the usage. And usually it's a good idea to start with ADA, okay? Okay, that information is enough for the moment, so you can check other details, but be careful about the pricing. So in the classes, we are using Pear Deck. That is an interactive application. So basically, you need to log in to this application, and then you can submit your answers. For example, we have some questions like this one, is everything clear so far? Or there can be some quiz questions during the class, okay? So I hope everything is clear until now. So we can start with the practical session. I will use OpenAI.